Hello and welcome to my audiovisual overview of my Wikiversity chapter of Sense of Coherence. A sense of coherence is a theory proposed by Aaron Antonovsky, who was an Israeli-American sociologist who studied relationships between stress, health, and well-being. Antonovsky created the sense of coherence concept and model after developing his theory of salutogenesis. Fundamentally, a sense of coherence is a reflection of an individual's coping mechanism and how well they can reflect, understand, and cope with stresses. The theory proposes that in order to deal with stresses, it's essential that individuals are able to reflect on their understanding of a stressful event or events. A sense of coherence also says a lot about a person's ability to identify internal and external resources. A sense of coherence stems into the model of salutogenesis, which I will elaborate on shortly. The salutogenic model is a medical-based approach that focuses on factors that revolve around human health and well-being and how and why certain people maintain their health. This model is comprised of three concepts: comprehensibility, manageability, and meaningfulness, and these concepts are multidimensional constructs and connect with a sense of coherence. In this section, I will elaborate more on the three concepts. Firstly, comprehensibility is the extent to which an individual perceives events making logical sense and how that individual perceives external and internal stimuli and comprehend them in a rational manner. Secondly, manageability is the extent to which an individual feels as though they can cope and what resources they may have available to them in order to manage stressful stimuli. Lastly, meaningfulness is how much an individual feels that their life makes sense and that the challenges encountered in life are worthwhile and fulfilling. This concept is relevant when we face stressful or difficult problems in our lives. In this section, I will briefly elaborate on salutogenesis and its counterpart pathogenesis. Firstly, as aforementioned, salutogenesis is a medical approach that focuses on the factors that support human health and well-being rather than factors that cause disease. The theory essentially refers to how and why certain people remain healthy. Furthermore, pathogenesis refers to the biological mechanisms that lead to a disease state. The term also describes the origin and development of a disease and the state that it is in, for example, chronic, recurring, or acute. In essence, it describes the derivation of disease and its course of development. In its origin, Antonovsky initiated a study amongst different ethnic groups of women in Israel with the intention of discovering their menopausal symptoms. He interviewed women about perceived health and on different life events that affected them, such as loss of limbs, eyesight, or suffering from a serious condition. After an analysis on the interviews, Antonovsky found that 29% of women reported good health, even though some of them had survived the Holocaust. This led to Antonovsky narrowing his search on smaller numbers of respondents and focused on health resources. This was the shift from pathogenesis into the creation of salutogenesis and its model, which eventually led to the emergence of the sense of coherence theory. In terms of the development of sense of coherence, it has been assumed to develop over the entire life cycle and increase with age and remain stable into adulthood. Antonovsky proposed in this theory that in a sense of coherence, it generally develops until the age of 30 and is estimated to remain stable until retirement age, where a decrease is expected to occur. However, this assumption has not been backed by empirical research. A sense of coherence is developed when a person encounters a stressor in their lives. Moving on to the effects of sense of coherence. In terms of mental health, a strong sense of coherence can serve as a barrier of protection against depression, and for this reason, it can help improve life satisfaction. A strong sense of coherence has also been linked with a reduction in loneliness, anxiety, and fatigue, and it can also affect stress, as in its whole, a sense of coherence is how people cope with stressful situations. This ties in with physical health as stress affects the immune system, and having a strong sense of coherence contributes to a higher sense of perceived health and plays a role in the development and understanding of health in a person. Referring back to Antonovsky's Israeli study, many women still reported good health despite their circumstances, and this is likely due to a high sense of coherence. Before summarizing, I will briefly discuss about how sense of coherence is measured. Antonovsky created the 29-item Orientation to Life questionnaire to measure a sense of coherence. This question has 11 items that measure each of the three constructs and yields a score range of 29 to 203. There is also a shorter questionnaire that has a score range of 13 to 91. The sense of coherence questionnaire has been empirically tested in multiple countries across different population samples, professions, and cultures, which proves its validity and reliability. To summarize, a sense of coherence is a multi-dimensional concept that demonstrates how people deal with stresses in their lives and their capacity to reflect and understand those stresses. The sense of coherence model ties in with the salutogenic model of health, which is a medical-based approach which focuses on factors relating to human well-being and health. Its counterpart, pathogenesis, focuses on the biological mechanisms of disease and the origin and development of disease. Both of these theories have their roots in a sense of coherence and play a key role in the understanding of how people deal with their health. A high sense of coherence can generally lead to good health and may serve as protection against mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety. People who hold a high sense of coherence are generally able to deal with stresses in a healthy manner, which in turn will allow them to maintain good physical and mental health. Thank you for listening to my presentation.